taking care of business on this fabulous Friday afternoon here in Boca Raton. Thank you again for tuning into the Justice Hour. I'm your host, Lisa Macci. Today's show will feature Hal Valeche, who is a candidate for Palm Beach County Commission, Seat 1, and that's the seat that it will be vacant due to the term-limited out Commissioner Karen Marcus. To call in with your questions or comments, our phone number is 1-888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. First, let me tell you a little bit about Hal Valeche. He grew up in New York City and entered Yale University at age 16. After graduating at age 20 in 1969 with a degree in American Studies, Hal entered the United States Navy's flight training program and graduated first in his class. He was assigned as a fighter pilot to the Naval Air Station at Miramar, California, and while on board the aircraft carrier USS Oriskany, he flew 85 combat missions in Vietnam and logged 230 carrier landings as a member of Fighter Squadron 191. After Vietnam, Hal left the Navy to attend the Wharton School of Business, where he received an MBA in finance and was named to the director's list for academic achievement in both years of the program. Upon graduating, Hal returned to New York, where he worked as an investment banker, but left in the early 90s to move to Palm Beach Gardens with his wife, Stephanie. In 2002, Hal was elected to the Board of Supervisors of the Northern Palm Beach County Improvement District, serving as vice president in 2003 to 2004. Hal went to win a seat on the Palm Beach Garden City Council in 2004 and was reelected the following year, advocating for lower taxes and limited government. In 2008, Hal ran for United States Congress in District 16, raising over $1.3 million and receiving over 16,000 votes. Hal continues to work in Palm Beach Gardens. He's an entrepreneur and venture capitalist. Hal and his wife, Stephanie, have a 12-year-old daughter, Claire. Hal Valeche, welcome to the Justice Hour.
Well, thanks, Lisa. It's great to see you again, and it's great to be here.
So you have a 12-year-old daughter. You know, I have a 12-year-old daughter as well.
Yeah, and then we can share some stories off air, I'm sure. But
yes.
it is probably one of the most challenging ages, but she's a great kid, and we
wait
love
till
her.
you get to the teenage years.
Yeah,
if you think you've seen challenging now.
Right, yeah. I'll be happy when we're through.
So, do you think you could have gone to some better schools and tried a little harder?
Well,
you went to Yale, and then you went to the Wharton School.
I thoroughly enjoyed both. I'm happy that the education that I got has prepared me to do a lot of things in life, including flying the Navy, including serving in politics, including serving in business. And I was always a good student, and I'm always striving continuously to keep learning things.
Are you a member of Mensa?
I'm not.
So how is it that you got to go to Yale University at age 16? I mean, you were a baby, and you started at Yale?
I actually skipped 5th grade.
Wow.
when I was in elementary school in New York City, and just got done a year earlier with high school.
So were your parents geniuses as well?
No, they were pretty bright, very bright, and great parents. But I think
Did either of your parents go to Yale?
No. Actually, before I was in the last class at Yale, that was all male. Yale didn't become co-ed until a year after I graduated. So my father had gone to Lehigh, and my mother was an entertainer. She was actually a singer and appeared on Broadway and had a radio show.
Wow.
Not like this one, but and sang in nightclubs. So, but they were great parents.
Very nice. So did your parents guide you into applying for Yale at age 16?
They were always very interested in my education, and fortunately I had the God-given ability to study and get good grades, and they were very pleased that I was able to do that.
So I see a lot of comparisons between your background and Representative Carl Domino's background.
That is true.
Both served in the Navy.
That's
You're
right.
both in the financial business.
That's right. And we were also good friends. So, but we have similar business interests, similar, as you said, similar backgrounds, and I think we're both pretty conservative and.
And he has the twin 12-year-old daughters, too.
He's got twins, one boy and one girl.
Right. But I think they're both 12 as well. They're Ginger's age, too.
Yeah, they're maybe a year behind my daughter Claire in school. So they're 11 or 12. Or Claire's about to turn 13, so teenage years are upon us.
So is Claire a genius, too?
No. Okay. She's a very bright kid. She's in a gifted program. But I wouldn't consider any of us geniuses, including myself. I mean, I'm reasonably smart, but genius is not.
So
really,
when you went to Yale, was there anyone that we would know there who you went to school with?
Actually, there would be. The President of the United States was a year ahead of me, and I've known him now for about 45 years. And not
the current president, of course.
President George W. Bush, and I've known him for a long time. We've been friends, and I was surprised. I didn't really expect at the time when I knew him in college that he would ever go into politics.
United States president. Wow.
Right. It was really a surprise, but a pleasant surprise.
Excellent. And how about at Wharton School? Were you there with any of those financial guys? I know Trump went there and Michael Milliken.
Somebody who's been in the news, although not in a very positive way, recently was a classmate of mine. It's this fellow Rajaratnam, who was just convicted of insider trading.
Wow.
He was a classmate, and nobody else that you'd really have heard of. But a good friend of mine is now ambassador to Germany, a classmate there, and there are people that have sort of quietly gone about being very successful in business. But
excellent. So Chuck Wynn was my guest host last week, Colonel Chuck Wynn, and he was touting your military experience and promoting the show for this week for me.
Oh, that's very kind of him. So Chuck's a good friend.
We're talking about you were a fighter pilot in the Navy, and you flew 85 combat missions and logged 230 carrier landings. That's a lot, isn't it?
It's a relative. I mean, there are people that have done thousands. If you spend a career, I didn't spend my whole career in the Navy. I spent 6 years, and that's a reasonable amount for 6 years. But, for instance, my skipper, who retired after probably 25 or 30 years, probably had close to 1,000. So,
wow.
Each one's a new adventure, and I'm happy to have done it. Very proud to have done it. And
so even though you went to Yale, you went on to fight, and you didn't get a draft deferment that so many of your Ivy League colleagues did at that time.
I was exempt from the draft because I hurt my knee very badly in my senior year, and I'd already signed up for the program, and I really wanted to do it. I'd learned how to fly while I was in college, and I loved flying, still do. And I hurt myself, and I went to the doctor, the orthopedist, and he said, well, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is you're not eligible for the draft anymore. The bad news is we're going to have to operate on your knee, and you're going to be in a cast for 6 months, and et cetera. And I said, no, you don't understand, doctor. This is something I really wanted to do. And he looked at me kind of funny because, as you said, everybody at that era in the late 60s was declaring themselves crazy,
right?
Doing whatever they could to get out of the draft. And I was somebody that actually was trying to get in, even though I didn't have to. So,
well, that's very honorable.
Fortunately, I fought myself through a number of Navy doctors to get qualified, and it wasn't necessarily easy, but I persevered and I got in, and I'm extremely happy that I did, because it was one of the best things anybody could ever do.
So what was your experience like on the North Palm Beach County Improvement District and on the Palm Beach Gardens City Council?
Well, they're two fairly separate entities. The Improvement District, I thought, was interesting in terms of a really crucial issue for us all here in South Florida and throughout Florida, which is surface water management. And that's really the Improvement District is kind of an obscure body. People don't know what it does, but mostly it manages in coordination with the South Florida Water Management District surface water. And it's unbelievable how complicated the system here is. I'm sure most people listening know that where they're living right now, 100 or 150 years ago, was probably underwater and a swamp or a part of the Everglades. And
so what exactly do you do to manage surface water?
Well, there are a number of infrastructure
Does it have to do with the canals?
It has to do with canals, gates, control structures, water levels, obviously discharge of water into the ocean and into Lake Worth Lagoon. But
so the people who are on these improvement districts, they're not scientists or environmentalists. They're basically people from all walks of life. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is exactly true, and they're elected because they have taxing authority, and that's been an issue in the legislature. In fact, you mentioned Representative Domino. I think he had a bill a couple of years ago that said anybody that can levy a tax on any taxpayer here in Florida needs to be elected. And what he was trying to do by that is take away the appointment of members who are non-accountable to voters yet can levy taxes on them.
Like the South Florida Water Management District.
Yeah, exactly. So, we had a pretty...
I see that as a good thing, but then I had Representative Kriegel on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about the difference in the mosquito control commissions when it's handled by Public Works versus an elected board, and it was really insane, the numbers, where a county like Palm Beach County, I think he said it was $1.9 million budget, and then in somewhere on the West Coast, I think it was Lee County, where they had an elected mosquito control commission with an executive director. Their budget was over $21 million.